Well, we're back, everybody, for another episode. Happy summer. Happy summer. It's almost here.
Wait, it's not summer. And
it's summer in some places, Rita, just because it's not in Long Beach, California.
Yeah. I mean, it was, May gray for the entire month. I think I saw the sun
we had
like
2 sunny days.
And then now it's June gloom. But, this is just the strangest weather year ever here in California. I guess other places, too, they're experiencing weird weather. But we're just not used to it, folks.
Well, we know it's not global warming, so we can't blame it on that. So I guess what else are we going to blame it on?
Blame it on the stars.
Okay. Is something in retrograde?
No, I don't know. I don't.
You're not following that shit anymore?
No, I am.
Oh.
But this time it's
a full moon.
Full moon.
That's okay, blame it on the full moon. Well, it's another fun interview. This interview is with the one and only Mark Volman. Mark was part of Flo and Eddie and one of the original members of the Turtles. Remember them? Mark has just set out on the 2023 Happy Together tour, which runs until the beginning of September. He talks about this tour along with the great antidotes, including hanging with Keith Moon, his time working with Frank Zappa.
Many people don't know that Flo and Eddie can be heard on so many songs as they have worked with John Lennon, Ozzy Osbourne, T-Rex, Roger McGuinn, Ray Manzerek, David Cassidy, Keith Moon, Alice Cooper, Blondie, the Knack, Psycadelic Furs, Sammy Hagar, Jefferson Airplane, the Ramones, Duran Duran, Darlene Love, and so many more, including Bruce Springsteen, which he'll talk about. Plus, Mark tells us about the infamous story of Flo and Eddie, Frank Zappa, and how the song Smoke on the Water came about for Deep Purple. Yes, Mark Volman was there.
Yep, it's a great story. So please sit back, enjoy this episode with Mark Volman of the Turtles.
Hey, is that Rita?
Yeah. Hi, Mark. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing well, thanks.
Oh, good. Such a pleasure to have this time with you on Rock and Roll Confessional.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
We're very happy that you are here at CW West, and I worked at KLOS for many years. He worked at K-Rock. I think I worked some other places, but we want to talk to you about some of your radio days in Los Angeles if we have time.
No problem.
Perfect. You're a singer-songwriter of the Turtles, and you're the kind of the mastermind behind the whole Happy Together tour. You've got so much stuff that you did, the Turtles, Flo and Eddie, your work with Mothers of Invention, and just so many other things we'd love to talk about. So thank you so much for sharing your time. And why don't you tell us about the Happy Together tour that's coming up the end of this month?
Yeah, Happy Together is going to play, it's, I believe, 12th, 13th year that we've done this in a row. And it started out being called several other things, but it ended up being the Happy Together tour. We look forward every summer to it because it's a great bunch of theaters that we get to go out into, and they feed us.
Is that the main reason you do the tour?
One of them, okay?
So music isn't really that important anymore. It's more about the food.
Yeah, if the food is good, you can survive a tour. Touring is, a lot of people think of it as a very romantic thing, and it's really hard for the most part. It's gotten harder as we've gotten older, of course. And sleeping on a bus, from 90% of the tour we do sleeping on a bus, and there's 21 of us on the tour with the crew, and everything could end up being a couple more before we are done. But the tour is all laid out. We had a big meeting yesterday with the members of the crew and the members of the band, and just kind of talked about things that we do talk about on keeping the tour working. It's like I feel like it's a hard And having people who enjoy doing the tour is a big part of it. So
It seems that, the era of the 60s, mid 60s, in early 70s, some of this stuff was just such I think little Steven called it like a renaissance. That whole period of time of just like, oh my God, this is something that people will remember for years. And I think a lot of that was, the peace, love thing and it feeling good. I mean, the world around us at that time was not so good, but there's something about that music that brings that comfort to the soul.
Yeah. Well, the natural progression of it all is kind of interesting just in surveying all of the different artists that have kind of maintained, their equilibrium in all of the different things that they've gone off into. And Stephen's a perfect example of how artists like Stephen, the guys from the E Street Band who they all love the music of the Happy Together tour. I mean, I just talked with Gary Talent, and he was saying how I need tickets. We're gonna be near where you are, and we want to see the show.
That's awesome.
And it's that kind of relationship between the artists that are fans. And that's, the guys from the Black Keys, the guys who come out to see the Turtles play because it's something that they want to be able to say they did, and that they were able to see the show with this year with Little Anthony and the Imperials and Gary Puckett, and this year with Classics 4, the Vogues, the Turtles. I mean, it's an evening that you can't replace those artists if something happens. And we see this, we talk about this a little bit in the book that I've just put out, where all the artists who talk about having their first #1 record and the artists who are talking about their first puff on a joint. and all of that stuff kind of comes together, and you kind of laugh at it because at the time we didn't know we were creating some kind of history that was going to be referred to in such incredible ways, and so we enjoy the tour really a lot. We get treated nicely. The band is great to be out with. They're excellent show. We've put this together like a show. I always tried to do that, even when we were working with Frank, Billy the Mountain, 200 Motels, all of those things. They were a show. And Frank really kind of opened the door for me, especially because I was given a lot of room to talk on those shows in terms of what the tour demanded. And so that's why tours are fun to be out on, and we look forward to this summer. It's a good lineup and good songs. All you have to do, take those songs, write them down, and see that you've got 2 hours of just massive memories. And that's what's great about it, is that it's just really great songs that just really, they keep the evening going, the songs. And it's just
Will Howard
great.
be joining you on the tour?
Howard's taken the time to try and get well. He's had some issues. We just spoke about 2 weeks ago about doing some of our radio stuff that we did over at K-Rock with Shadow when we were doing our show on K-Rock, and then when we moved over to KMET, we kind of commandeered Sunday night in Los Angeles, and that evenings we do an hour or 2 hours of radio, and we would interview Ray Manzerek, we would interview John Densmore, we'd interview Harry Nielsen, we'd interview all of the guys who just would come by the house, the studio. And so, yes, unfortunately, Howard, they really won't let him fly. There's too much risk for he had some back issues that, especially riding on the bus, the back issues. He fell off the bus at one point. There was a lot of trying to make it work, but it just couldn't work. So my plan was at that time I had already been using Ron Dante of the Archies. Ron is fantastic innovator himself. I mean, he worked with Barry Manilow and produced Barry's biggest album. And so I brought Ron in to sing during the summer. I said, do you like the Turtles music? And it was like, oh my gosh, it's like this was an opportunity for him to do something he really wanted to do. And so Ron's been with us now about 5 years and taking the place of Howard for the summers. And I spoke with Howard, and we've been talking about doing like what you're doing, setting up and playing stuff from the radio show. Some artists that we had on our radio. We reunited The Move with Jeff Lynne on the radio.
Wow. So do you have the tapes of all your old shows?
Oh, did I say that?
Do you own the rights to the tapes of your shows?
If I have the tapes, I own the rights. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
But the opportunity to be able to reach into the tapes and things that we have will make it fun to put some of the old, and we'll talk about how that materialized, how you could look across the hall of the studio, and there was Iggy Pop, and he's laying there sleeping. We're doing a show. And so then we didn't wake him up, and he did the whole show sleeping. And it was fun because they all kind of felt like they could come by because they knew what night we taped. And so they would come in, and Shadow would get it all set up, and we would just go right into it. Tom Waits would come in, and he'd sit in the room, and he'd say, hey, Mark, what are you doing tonight? And I'd go, I'm sitting here waiting for you to get up from sleeping. Our studios were right on Sunset and in Hollywood, and Shadow was the man in charge of the tapes in the studio. So they're right there. I just tricked you. There's tapes floating around. They're not just in my house. And Shadow knows how to run the tape recorder a lot better than I do.
The Shadow knows. Speaking of the radio stuff, been fortunate enough to spend most of my career in radio. And, there were some great things that went on like in the 80s and stuff like that. But it seems like I missed a whole lot in the 70s. I was a listener in the 70s, but there are radio stories that are just unbelievable. And so many of them have to deal with you and your counterpart, Flo and Eddie, and Keith Moon. I mean, there's some. I've heard stories that I can't even repeat because they were so. It's like, no, that couldn't have happened. Then just realize that the crowd, and it did happen. Can you tell us some of those? Or
well, Keith. Whenever Keith was involved in anything, you had to be very careful where you were. Because, Keith was someone, he was just a really hilarious guy, or he thought he was, to the point where he got away with really a lot. And so that was why it was kind of fun to just go out with him, because he was going to pay for everything, first of all, because he remember if he paid already, or we would make sure he knew that he hadn't paid yet. So make sure you pay. All these people are waiting to get paid. But Keith was really fun. When we did the album Two Sides of the Moon, it was an album that Keith wanted to do with all of these people. He had me. It was produced by Mal Evans the first time it. And Mal produced an album. Mal was the Beatles.
Right-hand person.
Yeah,
Or,
right-hand man, right?
Yeah.
And record company didn't like the album. So we made this album with Keith, with Mal, and the record company, and I'm not sure who it was at the time. You can look it up, though. It's everywhere. Keith was struggling to be a lead singer. And because he wasn't a singer leader anyway, I mean, he just really was really a bad singer, if anything. But we had a hit throughout the international marketplace. We had Don't Worry Baby, which became, for Keith, a top 10 record.
Wow.
And not so much in the United States, because Keith more or less ran out of people, things that he did followed him. And consequently, there were things that we couldn't do because of Keith. But it was fun when he did the 200 Motels with us when we did the movie, and he was there all the time. And he did the Two Sides of the Moon, obviously, and we did a second version of the album. And we did the album, and we had this fabulous group of musicians who was on the record. And I'd like to tell you, there's something about my memory which has changed me, and that is I don't know what the hell I'm doing most of the time. But
that makes you pretty normal, man. That makes you pretty normal.
Yeah, I understand seeing got to spend a lot of time with friends on this book project that I started a decade ago. I mean, I couldn't get through it most of the time. There's a lot of things that kind of took place that, because of the generation we were in, there was a lot of things that went on that were forgotten about until we started pulling things out for the book. And then once that happened, there was a lot that went on that it's not typical, the book. It jumps around in terms of how it works out for us to get the information across. There's questions, answers, putting things together that you just kind of looked at and thought that was nuts. It was like a crazy time. We lost members of the band to all kinds of different things. The Turtles did. Management was a mess. Publishing, ownership. I mean, it all kind of took on some natural byproduct of insanity is insanity. So it's a natural thing to reminisce about things that were just crazy. Going to the White House, I mean, think about how many bands didn't do that. And there we were with the Temptations and the Turtles were Tricia Nixon's favorite band at the time. So
you played at her wedding, right?
We played at something unlike, it wasn't really a wedding. It was, I think, her birthday. It all went well until I tried to, have an evening with Lucy Baines Johnson. She got upset just because I put the make on her. And I was a little bit off kilter that night, and we're dancing in the room, and there we go.
So you didn't get too far with her?
No, not at all. Not at all. In fact, I think from that moment on, they were pretty much just, watching me.
Yeah.
Making sure that I didn't keep him away from her. Okay.
You'd be the first rock band in the White House, but you might have made it the last rock band in the White House.
I think it was. Well, I know the Jefferson Airplane did it too.
That's right. Didn't Grace kind of spice some of the drink, from what I understand?
Well, that's what I've heard, but
Yeah.
we did a record with the Starship. When they became the Starship, we did, which is really interesting because it's exactly what we're talking about. It was the song Marty Ballin wrote about to be there. I can't remember the song, but it was off the Starship's Red Octopus album.
Okay.
And Grace and Howard and I did all the backgrounds, which were very simplistic. And some groups, brought us in to work with, like when we did the Ramones, which a lot of people don't know, the Turtles and the Ramones. It was a huge relationship of just being fans of each other. And I mean, here we are in New York City going to do the show, doing this record with the Jefferson Starship. And we had worked with the Starship as the airplane. I mean, the Starship became master at the pop sound, that they great records. And it was fun to be kind of off, like with Joey Ramone, and doing a T-Rex album and doing all the different records we worked on. The relationship we have with each of those artists was really fantastic. Getting to do Bruce, the only record ever had, he wanted a hit record. So Steve and him kind of brought Howard and I in, and there we are. I remember standing in the room where they had set up the microphones in a four-way possibility. And the four-way was, with Steve, Mark, Howard, and Bruce. And we did Hungry Heart.
Wow.
And Hungry Heart took about 4 hours, 5 hours to put it all together. But when you think back in the history of time, it's like I think of things like that with that happened with who knew where Bruce was going to be 20 years after we did that song. And
what's kind of interesting too is that he actually wanted to give that song to the Ramones.
Yeah, isn't that something?
And and then their management said, no, I think we got something here, and
yeah,
I guess it became a huge hit.
Well, it was international because we ended up singing with Bruce on different shows where he would have us sing with Ronnie Spector and Bruce and Steve. And Steve was always kind of at the root of it all on Hungry Heart. Steve is such he has done so much for popular music in terms of just telling people who they should have a bit of history about. And I mean, we've been so fortunate to be discovered several times. That happens with some of the groups that we've got a chance to work with. And so, and being in radio gave us an open door to being able to do radio interview people like Jeff Lynne or something like that, where, like I say, we brought back Jeff
And the Move.
ELO, and they hadn't worked together in 25 years. We brought them onto our show. We didn't tell them we were coming that they were going to see each other again for the first time. I have that all on tape.
I hope you release that somehow, either through the internet or something. I would love to hear those old shows.
Yeah. The old shows are a little bit crazy. Early days with Jan and Dean and the ones that we would do with the characters of the Doors, like Ray Manzerek. He's such an intelligent fellow. He always loved to make fun of us. He just loved to be able to say, no wonder you can't remember. We'd all laugh. What did we say?
Oh my gosh.
He was such a great storyteller too, like the best.
Oh, Ray and John. We used to go up to my wife and I at the time. We used to go up to uh, not John's, yeah, John and Robbie. And we'd go up to Robbie's house and play Yahtzee. Can you imagine? No, seriously, I'm sitting there going, I'm looking at the Doors are sitting in my living room. And we were making our album, the Battle of the Bands album, which had Eleanor on it. It had some good songs on that particular album, and the Doors were making their first album at the same studio when we were doing right down the hall. We were doing our album, The Battle of the Bands, and they were working on the first door do 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 do. Day destroys the night, night divides the day.
Break
What's
on
that
through.
mean?
Try to run.
Exactly. What the hell does that mean? So we still do that on stage. He says, "What are you singing about?" It was pretty fun. People didn't take themselves.
Those
so
hippies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fun stuff.
They were very. It's very funny to hear you all respond, but I tell you, they weren't very good Yahtzee players either.
Now that
Yeah.
surprises me. I would think Robbie would be actually pretty
Yeah.
good at Yahtzee.
Full house.
Robbie, what he did with the guitar, how they changed music.
Yeah.
I mean, we were so fortunate that we were fans of just people who came in. We were fans. Cassidy, what's
David
his
Cassidy.
name?
David Cassidy. Yeah.
Loved him so much. Miss him so much. And when you go through the litany of characters who we got to talk with and hang with and then play softball with and know their families. I had Chris Hillman's daughter eventually come and be at the be in college with me. I taught
At
college
Loyola.
for
Loyola
12.
Marymount.
Yep, I graduated from there twice, but then I started teaching. I taught there for 4 or 5 years. Then I moved to Nashville, Tennessee, where I taught at Belmont University.
You know, we're fraternity brothers.
What do you mean?
Aren't you a SIGEP?
I am SIGEP, yeah. Hey,
Don't say the password.
that was so much fun. They came and invited me to join the people in the get together every day. You know, and one of the guys was dating my wife. And
Before she was your wife? Or while she was your wife?
Wow, man, I got.
Yeah, those brothers, you know, they're no hold bar.
It was really, I ended up being the valedictorian, and I did the speaking at the graduation. And it was really fun to do something like that. And I loved the opportunity to be able to see. I know it's kind of quirky, but they were just such great men, great kids turning into men, and being able to be a part of that for me was really a fantastic opportunity.
That's cool.
A lot of the stuff that you went to school for, like you said, you became a teacher and so forth, but a lot of it was also about the business of the music business. I think that you kind of helped people along saying, hey, you know, if you sign this contract, you spend forever trying to get out of it and so forth. So I think that's so important for anybody going to school these days that wants to be in the music business.
Well, there's a lot more people stepping up with the generosity of their history, being capable of teaching some classes. And that we saw that with the later where David Lee Roth was like, he did radio too. He wanted to see what it's like to be a disc jockey. And then he also was a part of, he would be on my little group of guys who I would take, Paul Williams, who was another one of those he was just generous with his time. He's the president now
We
of
had him on our
ASCAP.
show a couple of years ago.
And his reflection of the kind of problems that he was having, where he eventually went off and worked with people regarding drug problems that they couldn't, see what was happening. And Paul talks about that in my book. And it's really nice to have somebody with his intelligence talking about it. And it really showcases what is important out there, the value of getting to know Patrick Carney of the Black Keys, who's just another one of those fellows who is like that, who gives the time to talk about what's going on in the marketplace, goes out and does some lectures like that. And the guy who worked with Mountain, the drummer with Mountain, another guy who went off to become a professor. And, that's going to look nice when I go, but
We can edit.
That's, oh, yeah, okay, I almost forget that they still can use editing. I can use that, just editing sometimes.
I want to respect your time, Mark, so I'm not sure if you have any more time to keep going.
Yeah, let's go another 15 minutes or so.
It seemed like Zappa and the Mothers of Invention seemed like just mayhem. And you were part of that, and you sometimes threw mayhem into the shows and into the videos and things like that. I know behind the scenes, I know Frank was very serious about his music. I wanted to know what you gained from working with Frank Zappa.
Frank was one of those once-in-a-lifetime opportunities. I mean, there wasn't going to be another Frank Zappa. And so that was the first thing that kind of opened the door. And the reflection of his wife, and again, just pointing out on the book that we've just put out, or it's still coming, Frank, you can kind of see Gail does all the talking, and the interviews that Frank participated in with me were through Gail. And so Gail's in the book, and Frank is just a kind of by proxy, he's in the book, and that's really was what I want, all I could get. And having George Duke there, I mean, the people that played with Frank, George, the Fowler brothers, Ian Underwood, all of them kind of come to the game with this talent, with this how much the music was kind of pushed forward by those mothers of invention, the members of the band who did so much of the playing that was going on. And Frank was very special about that. He wanted, and as we went into the project, like 200 Motels, it had come from being on the road. I mean, the story of 200 Motels is a lot easier to understand if you know it's traveling with the band on tour. And that's what Frank created as his script for us all to follow. And he had Ringo Starr playing him, Frank, as in the movie that we did, 200 Motels. He put Ringo as Frank in the movie, and he plays Frank, and it's just very, very funny if you haven't ever
seen that.
It's very hard to sit through, but Frank was hard to work with at times, and he was very talented, and he expected us to be talented and really do what he wanted, was what he asked for. He wanted the continuation of the story that we would laugh about while we're on tour to turn into this movie, 200 Motels, where life on the road became what we were doing here. And that's where Keith Moon is one of the stars of the movie, and as crazy as the movie gets, it suits him. He plays this character who is a nun. He's a part of the trip that's going on, and you just see like why you couldn't stand it. But then, as you sit, there's this connection to Frank having a lot of issues that were going on, and the band was part of those. He got pushed off the stage in London and the Rainbow Theater. He broke his back. He had all of these elements that took place. The fire in Montreux, where the song "Smoke on the Water" became kind of the personification of the Frank Zappa and the Mothers. It wasn't our song. It was the guys who had made "Smoke on the Water."
Deep Purple.
They took and wrote, and they wrote the song.
Were you there at the event? Were you part of the Mothers at that time?
Yes. Yeah. The fire in Montreux was one of those once in a lifetime.
Thank
thank
God.
goodness that it's one.
Yeah.
And the next day, Frank wanted to fly home. And truth be told, all of the members of the band said they couldn't do it because they were owed money, and Frank hadn't paid them off. And I mean, it's kind of an interesting, story, because it isn't just, it's the business. We had 7 shows. If we go home, none of the band gets paid. If we stay and play the song, we're at the event with all new equipment because the equipment had burned in the fire. So Led Zeppelin, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, The Who, all these British rock stars came in and loaned us their equipment. They loaned Frank the equipment so that we could play. We had 2 nights at the Rainbow, 2 or 3 nights at the Rainbow Theater, and once Frank got pushed into the pit, that tour was over, and that was the end of our stint with the Mothers of Invention. We went back to the United States. Frank went into rehab, and it was all around his back. His brain had a pipe in his. I mean, it was a really sad thing to see him sitting. I remember sitting at the hospital, and Frank laying in the bed and looked like a mummy. He had that whole thing on, sitting there. He couldn't move. And he looked up at me and Howard, who were allowed to go in and say we were going back to the United States, and said, he looked at us and said, "Peaches and regalia. 1, 2, 3." And he was counting off the song Peaches and Regalia, which was like one of the opening parts of the show. And he remembered where he was. I think that was a way of saying, I'm okay.
Wow.
So many things to talk to you about, and like I said, we want to be, considerate of your time. Let's talk about the book. It's not out yet, right?
Right. No, it'll be out June 20th.
Okay. And what's the name of it?
What is the name of it? It's been pushed around so much. Happy Forever.
Happy Forever. Okay.
That's the name of the book.
Good. That'll be out June. And you're going to be, I think, in Southern California around that time at the Pacific Amphitheater.
I think, isn't it?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I believe it is. Yes. And those are good shows we get to do. There's a big one in Costa Mesa. It's about, 4,000 people come. 8,000. I got to get more money.
Well, double, obviously. If you're getting paid for 4, you should get double the money. If I did my math right.
You're the professor, remember?
Yeah, those are good shows to see because you never know about what we're going to do. We have guys in the band who've worked with Ted Nugent. How can you not make fun
Terrible
of
Ted.
him? Yeah. He's such a fun guy. I like Ted. I like Ted a lot. He's great. We have his bass player for the summer.
That's cool.
And Greg Smith is his name. And Greg, he likes to be on the road. He's like, and that's my confession, is I really don't like being around home during the summer. I think that's kind of waste my time fighting with my wife and my ex-wife and 2 kids. So my confession would be, please leave me alone.
Well, I'm glad you get the tour. I'm glad COVID's over enough that you can get out and get on the road again.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm not so sure about all that, but
it's still around, but
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, no, I take all the shots of it and I feel pretty good. I got strength in my
Your
thing
throat,
here,
yeah.
the throat that I have. Yeah, and I had a whole lot of stuff happening back in time about
2015, wasn't it? You had throat cancer?
Yeah, I had cancer, and so all of that stuff really tried to smack me down. I've got the same thing with one of my friends who I just love dearly, Richard Lewis.
Yeah, we saw that.
And yes, and I talked to him right after that, and he'll be okay. You just have to tell him that there's money in it.
Oh, we have a story about him and money. Yes, where he decided he wasn't going to step out of the limo for a show until the check was handed to him, and it was a big battle. And I remember that, like he showed up and he's like, "I'm not getting out till you hand me the check."
He's a really, he's a little bit whacked out. This whole thing. He was like. We went on tour and we kept seeing each other. We were in different parts, and he's maintained this will be a hard fight for him, but he'll come through it. And he knows that his fan base is really incredibly crazy people, and I think that offers him a chance to do a lot with what he's got going. I mean, his character is Richard Lewis. This
pretty much it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, Mark, we're going to do the bonus round. So this is quick, easy questions.
Oh,
get ready.
Yes.
What band do you regret never seeing live?
Elvis. I mean, that's the band he had when he was touring, and Howard went to the show. We got invited to go see him because the Turtles were in California. But when we went to Graceland at the time, he was living there upstairs, and we wanted to meet him. So I couldn't meet Elvis, but I did meet Roger Maris. And that was a big thing for me. Roger was in a hotel room, and
the baseball player.
Baseball player,
yeah. Wow.
16 runs for the Yankees back then, whenever that was.
That's pretty. I mean, yeah, you've just had so many encounters with various people during your life.
If you're stoned all the time, you're not even going to leave your room. And I discovered that in about 1985, and I stopped. Drinking, and I stopped drugs, and I got a little bit closer to, mortality. And I kind of watched that's a better place to be. It's just a better place to be. Everything else that's gone on. And so it allows me to reflect with sadness at times, but, I miss all those characters. Frank Zappa, I used to love going up to Frank's house, and we'd go out and eat at the Thai barbecue in Toluca Lake, and getting to see him with all that, what was going on for him at that time. it's stark memory things like
Yeah.
that. I'm glad that stuff's done, but it's just somebody else now
Yep.
climbs into the spot, you know.
I'm sure that on the road, you've had incredible, crazy things happen. What's your definitive Spinal Tap moment?
Oh, that's easy. When we went to the White House, we played the White House for Tricia Nixon. She was having a party to celebrate her, I guess, 16th or 17th birthday, something like that. And so she brought in her two favorite bands, and her two favorite bands were the Turtles and the Temptations. And so it was the original the original Temptations, and that was a great experience, albeit it was Mr. Nixon who didn't show up to the party. That Tricia sort of felt that was a good thing because she got to,
Yeah.
got to rule the night. But the being in the White House, I remember when we went to the sound check that all the people who were watching the Turtles at the sound check, the security guys and all the police and everything that was going on, and while we're standing there, a sound in the bags kicks over, and it's a timing machine. And they didn't know, so they got everybody down on the ground, and they're waving guns, and there's a lot of yelling, and everybody's going, no, it's a timer, and they went over and they had to pry open, and they pried open the timer, which was just a ticking sound, and the ticking kept going when they got it broken, and everybody looked over at it, and it was the sound timer,
Oh
saying
my God.
48, 47. They thought we had brought one of those contraptions that hurts.
Like a
if it
bomb or
goes off.
something.
And you're standing there. Yeah, I didn't want to say bomb. Don't mention bombs. Don't mention the bombs.
Yeah, because they'll come out, any second now. You say that word and they'll get on
But
the internet.
that was the beginning of the end of the Turtles. I mean, there's a story in the book where when next show we played after the White House was for the president of some car company, maybe like Chevrolet, and they were up in Stanford University, up in that area of the Northern California, and we ended up playing at a party, maybe 60 people, 70 people, all kind of overtly rich and famous in their own minds. And Howard had kind of a breakdown that night. He ended up throwing all of the chairs around the pool into the water. And Howard was like saying, "We can't play, I don't want to play these places, man. Man, come on." It was like, it was so, and so Howard left the band. At that point, he had to leave the group because it was too much reality of the people we were playing for were just not, we thought we were like, hip guys. And really those two shows, the White House and then everything, it was kind of spoiled it, but that's what happened,
Yeah.
And
Wow.
You seem to be so blessed and grateful. What is your secret, or what would you like to pass along to people to tell them about anything?
Well, I think I know when I was teaching, I really felt close to the scene of helping people. That was sometimes I've kind of run the gamut of so many different things. All the stories are pretty much true. I mean, I sometimes can't remember in what order things happened, but who can? Those things when you start losing friends like Harry Nilsson and then Ray Manzerek, and it does soften the blow that it's like, how many more of these do you go into? Phil, the comic that I went to high school with, Phil
Oh,
Hartman.
yeah.
Oh,
Tragic.
Yeah.
And the guys from Firetime Theater that are no longer. I mean, that's my history, or all those folks who I grew up not just playing with, but going by myself to see the show, then going out to see the Byrds with the 12-string guitar for the first time. And it was like, man, this is what is this life? That I blame God, and He put me in the right place at the right time, and I feel like I lived up to what I wanted to do, which was just live a happy life and see how many times I can tell these stories and still feel like there's more to do. And the book took 10 years, and I almost gave up several times due to Phil Reed, who was in the Turtles, and he passed away. Don Murray, our original drummer, who died. I mean, it was, you realize that you've done a lot, but you paid for it. You paid for it. And I miss Leslie West.
Oh, yeah.
God, was he a funny guy? He was so funny. And those are like the things. I'm glad I get to rehash them now. And if they're as good, half as good as you and your partner, then I got something, because you all are great at what you do. Me, I can answer your questions, but I don't know. I don't know.
I look forward to seeing you on stage in Costa Mesa.
Pacific
at the
Amphitheater.
Pacific Amphitheater. You got the Cowsills on the bill too, right?
Oh, yeah. They're the greatest. Sue Calcill is
Yeah.
very special. We do yoga together backstage, and we do Tai Chi. We're into that. It's a good way to pass a day. A lot better than, a blast of cocaine and
Healthier for you too.
the Alice Cooper way.
Right.
That guy, he wrote our introduction. Cool. I made him.
You were on a lot of his albums also, right?
A lot of albums with him. Yeah, we did a bunch of clones. We the big ballad hits we did. Never can remember it. We did more than maybe 9 or 10 albums with Alice. The thing about the background singing has really been us being able to be groupies. I mean, Howard and I love those people. They're just really interesting, and they have wonderful
Well, you're not sleeping with the bands, are you?
I'm not sure. Can we move on from that one?
You know what? I was really surprised that you guys did background vocals on Psycadelic Furs.
Duran Duran.
Love My
and Duran.
They were good guys. We did the song about the white cars or something. I can't remember. But the best album that's overlooked here in the United States is the Andy Taylor record we did with Andy. A really, really great album. One of my favorite albums. And then also we can go on the complete other side of that is the stuff we did with John Lennon and Yoko Ono.
That's right.
Fillmore East, where we did a small eternity of what a mess it was when John showed up and wanted to sing, and he got on the Mother's show. And we had spent the week rehearsing with him so that it wouldn't look like none of us knew what was going on. So we could pretend that it was a mess. And they didn't do badly. They did pretty good. And they made it more of a mess. And a part of that was that small eternity. Howard did this thing where Yoko was screaming and Howard put her in a sack. And she went into the sack, and Howard dropped the microphone down into the sack, and she kept screaming while she was in there. And that was Small Eternity. We named that on the album. Album that came out with all the material. It just came out again in a 6 CD box set that the Mothers put out. The Zappa just put out. There's a 6 CD spin-off of all of those shows that we did at the where he was thrown into the pit, where the fire, all of those things are documented on the 6 CD. And it was a fun experience. It wasn't exactly doing a song with John, but we did a song with John in the show. We sang this song, I think, called "Oh My" or "Oh Yeah" or something. And okay, can I go now?
Yes.
Thank you, Mark.
So much for all of your time. You've been just most amazing, and it's such a pleasure to chat with you and just see what a vibrant soul you are. So that's great to see.
I would say you did an excellent job with me.
Excellent.
Hopefully we'll see you at the Pacific Amphitheater.
I'd like that.
Okay.
Nice to
Thanks again for your time, Mark.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Take care.
Thank you, Kristen.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank you, Kristen.
everyone.
Of course.
Listen to their show. They're good.
So we've been trying to get hold of Mark for a while, and I think we had the wrong email address, which is why we never heard from him. But once we got hold of him, he was so great to talk to.
He was, completely there, just totally still into music and totally the same kind of vibe of person. I mean, obviously, he's gone through a lot of transitions and stuff like that.
Great sense of humor.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Just incredibly funny, intelligent, smart, and was really a great joy to talk to.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing the show at our local show, what is at the Pacific Amphitheater, coming up in July. So we want to give a big special thanks to Kristen Miller for coordinating the interview, along with Lisa Sexton and Jay Zudan at the Pacific Amphitheater for getting us in touch with Kristen. You can follow Mark on social media at Instagram, which is Mark Volman Official, and Facebook at Mark Volman 5, just the number 5.
The Happy Together Tour is going on now through September 1st of this year. Tickets and info links are available at happytogethertour.com. Make sure if you're in Southern California, you check them out at the Pacific Amphitheater on July 16th. Mark's new book comes out on June 20th. It's titled Happy Forever and can be found wherever you get great books.
And check out our show notes on our website. The website is rockandandrollconfessional.rocks. There you can find links to some of the subjects talked about in today's show, including Flo and Eddie explaining how they got ripped off from their managers and the record companies throughout the years. There's the tour dates for the Happy Together tour and some great videos of Flo and Eddie throughout their career. And please support the podcast any way you can. Please, please, please. Just stop right now, whatever you're doing, and send a link to one friend, just one rock and roll buddy. That would be great. You can also write a review wherever you listen. You can follow us, comment, subscribe. So as soon as we get a new episode, it comes right to you. And share any of our posts on Instagram and Facebook with your other friends.
Yeah, your daily updates or when news breaks. It's really great, CW. Really great. Very informative and
thank you, Rita. Wow.
A lot of wonderful, wonderful information. A lot of people always comment on that, and you deserve all the credit for that because you deserve all the credit for just about everything, except for my voice.
Okay. This is actually Rita Wild's AI, so she's not even really with us.
That's
so
true.
She's in another world. I don't even need you anymore. I'm just going to use your AI.
Fine.
Now that's the hip thing to say.
Yeah, no kidding.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Have a beautiful day.
See y'all later. Bye.